When was the first time you either experienced or learned about colorism? So you may be familiar with racism, as in knowing what it means and maybe even know some real life examples or experiences. Well, even though you may know what it is, for the people that may not know, according to Google, racism is prejudice, discrimination, or antagonism directed against a person or people on the basis of their membership in a particular racial or ethnic group, typically one that is a minority or marginalized, or the belief that different races possess distinctive characteristics, abilities, or qualities, especially so as to distinguish them as an inferior or superior to one another. Okay, so now that I introduced you into racism, we're going to talk about what today's video is actually about, which is colorism. For those who may not know, colorism, according to Google, is prejudice or discrimination against individuals with a dark skin tone, typically among people of the same ethnic or racial group. Colorism usually roots from wanting to conform to society's beauty standards, self-hate, or even white supremacy. With that being said, when was the first time you either experienced or learned about colorism? Colorism is within your own group, because for so long we were told that this is a certain type of beauty. Light skins are closer to looking like that. That's where it kind of stems from.
I do think it's because, you know, when they look at like people that are very like dark skin, dark skins, I guess they just look at it as like, let's say you take a picture like of slaves, right? They're just dark and strong, you know, all of that.
Yeah.
It's just, you know, it's a little bit, I can say we learned that it's coming from a little bit from school too.
Yeah.
Because when we look at pictures from school, all the strong slave people like black, dark skin, you know, and all that.
Yeah. It's something that's always been around, but it could be like harmful. So talking about those things could bring more light to it, just to, you know, kind of make things better. So when was the first time you either experienced or learned about colorism?
You know, a couple years ago, in middle school.
When I was a kid.
I don't know, like I feel like for me personally, I felt I knew about different colors because of my attraction to different colors.
I used to prefer, you know, some lighter skinned females at first.
Me personally, I experienced it, but I think I've seen it a couple times in school.
I get treated differently because like I'm more bright skinned, and my dad makes jokes all the time about, oh, how he's dark skinned, He just talks about how he's dark skinned and how he wears so light and how we get things all the time and pretty privilege and stuff.
I used to like light skin girls too, like they got to be light skin.
I don't know, like he thinks that he's had a harder life, in actuality I don't think so. It's just, you know, different times.
Yeah. Actual statistics that shows like lighter people usually get more opportunities than darker people. They always think like light-skinned people are more delicate or more sensitive or feminine. And usually for females, that's a good thing. You want to be seen as feminine, delicate. But then for the males, it's kind of like harmful because they like, you know, they want to be seen as and then for dark-skinned females, it's usually like they think, oh, strong black woman, you know, and less delicate.
Light skins, they're more like well behaved, or they're nicer, they know how to act, and then they would compare them to the dark skins. They'll be like, no, I choose the light skin over the dark skin because I think she'll treat me better, she'll be nicer, or something like that.
You just stereotypically, certain like light skins, for example, would act a certain way, and they have that stereotype of how they are more sensitive, or like they're more like into their emotions about certain things.
Can boys be soft and all that stuff? Like they usually say that like lighter people are more attractive, or in some cases more delicate or feminine. And that's harmful because when it's a dark-skinned girl, they're seen as, oh, you have to be the strong black woman and like rough around the edges and ghetto and stuff like that. But then the light-skinned girls are seen as like more feminine and delicate. And then for the light-skinned guys, it's like, oh, he's weak, he's feminine, oh, he's gonna cry. This is a societal problem that has been since way before we were even born, from back to where the light-skinned slaves were inside the house and the dark-skinned slaves were outside and being treated worse. And it's up to us to kind of steer away from stuff like that.
I didn't realize until somebody told me like that's colorism, and I used to think like it was all good, but then after I realized, like once I hit high school, that's when I realized what my thinking was wrong, and then after that, I've seen colorism happen with a lot of other people have colorist views and things like that. For me, I don't think it's my place to really tell somebody what you want, but I feel like what's wrong with the black girl and with the light-skinned girl, like what's the difference?
Okay.
They're all girls or they're all boys, so that's how I feel.
But light-skinned girls are black too. They're still black,
Yeah.
they're just light-skinned.
Yeah, they're just lighter skinned.
Okay.
Like, you know how the Haitians say female?
Yeah.
There's no Haitian.
Yeah.
You feel me?
Yeah.
When I started, growing up and stuff, I realized it don't matter. But
Okay.
lately, I don't know, little dark skins and stuff. I don't mind. Light skin, just gotta, love this kind of being.
They divide, because how I see it is, my best friend light skinned girl, dark skinned girl are gonna say, oh, we just don't like a dark skinned girl. I'm with a dark skinned girl, light skinned girl gonna be like, you could do better. So for some guys, it's like, no matter what I choose, somebody gonna have a problem.
Yeah.
It can't be like, oh, he just like her, or he just wanna be with her. For her, it's gotta be, no, she's a dark skin, so light skins. If she's a light skin, then dark skin girl will say something. That's just how I feel like we gotta change that. But sometimes I feel like both genders do it a lot.
Yeah.
Because girls will be like, oh, he has to be light skinned, or he has to be dark skinned. I mean, you gotta be dark skinned. For me, I have no problems with it, but I just feel like we have to change that and just be like, we're all black. Because sometimes there's some light people, I even fall for that. There's some light people, and I'll be like, bro, no, you're not black. No.
Yeah.
And then I realized, I'm like, that's kind of deep.
What you were saying about your dad, I think it is true because times are very different. And now that we're actually talking about, like, people might say this generation is sensitive, but I think it's actually good because society has not been so sensitive for so long. Like,
They're just immune to how they gets.
yeah.
I see that.
So
I see that.
you're right. Like, times are different, but at the same time, your dad might actually be right from his own experience. So I could understand where you're coming from with that because there's actual statistics that light skins or dark skins, and especially with females, like hiring with jobs and things of that sort. So yeah, I think that's very interesting. So do you have any experiences or learned or know when you learned about it?
I mean, there's only like one experience wise, and it hasn't happened in a very long time when I was in elementary school. So like, not many people know, but I was diagnosed with a disease, and with that said disease is autoimmune disease. So it's when like you're sick and you have cells in your body to like attack the cells that are sick or like that should be out of your body. It was attacking my skin cells and my bone marrow, so like it wasn't growing at the way it should be.
Okay.
And so that made me deformed, and so that kind of was rough, which in elementary, of course, I'm taking medicine to like fight this disease and like get rid of it out of my body, and then also I'm taking I don't know if it was chemo, probably, I don't know.
Because you were young.
Yeah, I was young, so I don't really remember the exact medicine, but I did go and spend certain summers in the hospital for 2 weeks just taking the medicine or whatever. But while I was in elementary and I was taking this said medicine did make me a little fat. This teacher came up to me, and I went to a predominantly Spanish school for elementary, and this teacher called me a fat black pig. In Spanish, and like of course I don't speak Spanish, so I didn't know. Yeah. But like she said it in a joke because my dad is a teacher, so he works at this said school, and so she said it as a joke and like repeated it in English and like giggled about it because like maybe she thought it was funny. Yeah. And my dad was just like, that's not okay. That's not a joke. It's crazy how you could be racist to Black people, but you have Black Hispanics, so like do you have that same energy, or like how does that feel? And I feel like they are colors their own kind as well. Because
Most
like,
definitely.
it's like you guys treat them so bad, and they're literally from the same country.
So things like that is so harmful, and that's why I'm so glad that you came here today and we got to speak about that and just bring awareness to things like that, just so people could, you know, move on forward and help change this problem.
Which I think is not right at all.
This video is coming to an end, and we talked about a lot today. I want to thank you for coming today and participating. But to end the video off, I want you to either give a mini summary of everything you said, or to give advice to anyone that is watching to help break this societal cycle or problem.
It's okay to have a preference,
Yeah.
but at the same time, don't like tell your friends, nah man, get a light skinned girl, get do that. No, it's okay.
It's for darker skinned women, it's just not to where it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
It just sucks. It's like on the toxic, them girls be so beautiful, and I'm like, wow, like I wish everyone is beautiful in their own way, and really, it depends on who you are and what that means to you and your beauty standards. So you should just do you and always do your best, because who cares what everybody else has to say about it? Because times are changing, so there's somebody for somebody for somebody for somebody.
To break the cycle, pretty much we talked about, like, you know, colorism, how that really affects us, especially our generation. Like, it's really bad. But even if your bros or like your homegirls telling you, man, straight light skin, straight, like, don't listen to that. Do what you want to do. If she's black, then be with her. Like, if she's light skinned, then be with her. If she's white, then be with her or be with him. You don't have to go by a skin tone. Like, don't get the skin tone in your head. Find out who the person actually is. You gotta find out what's actually inside.
I'd like to say that we should bring more word to it so that we can all come together and just keep it as one.